You're not confused. You already know what to do, and you just haven't decided yet. Welcome to another episode of Empower with Nancy, Becoming Her, episode 8. We're going to talk about how you're not confused because you're avoiding this decision. So listen up and take the time if you're driving to work, listen to everything that I am talking about because it's really, really going to be enlightening. And I know that it might hit just a little or sting a little, but I want you to stay with me for a moment because how many times have you said, I need more clarity? I'm still figuring things out and I don't know what my next step is. And then you're focusing on the total outcome. If you decide you kind of know what you want and you're just hanging on to that final outcome and you're thinking about how the hell am I going to do this? Like, do I even know what I want? But if you really are honest with yourself, guess what? You do know what you want. And you know what it feels like to feel off. You know what you've outgrown. And you know what you don't want anymore. You just have to be honest with yourself. There's so many people that feel stuck, right? And I've coached hundreds of people that feel constantly stuck with no clarity, not knowing what they want. But in the back of their mind and their head, it's like they do know what they want. They just are scared to make that step. Not because they don't know, but it's because they will not decide. Because once we decide, something has to change in our lives. And that's the part where no one wants to talk about because you know what you need to change. But again, you're fearing, you're worrying, you're figuring out the outcome, you're worrying about what other people think. And if you decide, you might have to set the boundaries. And this is where people avoid setting boundaries. Some people think that setting boundaries is being rude, that you don't like the person, you don't want to be around them, all these negative aspects of boundaries. But that's not what it's about. You might have to have a conversation that you don't want to have. And you might have to walk away from something that's familiar, but no longer fits for you. And you might have to show up differently. You might need to be seen differently, expect more from yourself. And now it's not about the clarity anymore. Now it's about becoming the version of you who actually follows through. Does this make sense? And do you understand what I'm saying? Because when we fear and worry about wanting to make a change in anything in your life, guess what? No one's going to make that change for you. You need to make that change and you need to follow through with it. You can't say that, for instance, maybe you're listening to this podcast and you're saying, you know what, Nancy, you are right. You are right. You are right. And the minute that this podcast ends, you have it fresh in your mind. And then the day goes by. And then, you know what? You don't even follow through with what it is that you want. Why? Why is that? You know why it is? Because you are fearing of the change. Life is too short. Go within your heart at what it is that you feel that you truly want in life. Again, you control the will of your life. You can have, do, and anything that you want in your life. Do you know that you can bring in, like, manifest things in your life that what do you need to do? You first need to believe that you can and do anything you want. You put in the work with the mindset, the clarity of what it is that you want, and you focus on what it would feel like to have what it is that you want. For instance, maybe you want a new job and you know exactly the type of job that you want. Okay, maybe it is an executive leadership position and you want to work for a specific company and you are so excited about this new opportunity that you visualize and know. First of all, you gave the clarity of knowing exactly what you want. You are visualizing what it would feel like to be in that position and hold an executive position. How would you show up each and every day? What would it feel like getting up in the morning and dressing so powerful, putting on that a suit or a beautiful blouse, slacks, dress, whatever it is. And the last thing that you put on is your heels. And your heels are the powerful heels. When you're ready to go, when you walk out that door, you are ready and empowered and confident that you're going to have a kick-ass day. So does this make sense where you're actually bringing in clarity of what it is that you want? And that's where the hesitation is because you're worried about, will that even work? It's not the confusion, not the lack of direction. It is the avoidance, right? And I'm not saying this from the outside. I have been there too, telling myself that I needed more clarity, more certainty, more self-love, more truth, more faith. I already knew. I already knew exactly what it is that I wanted. But guess what? I knew what I wanted, but then I had to get validation from everyone else. Husband, friend, family, coworkers, whoever it is that you can talk to. And when you do that, you're focusing on the one person that's going to say, oh my gosh, absolutely not. You shouldn't do that. And then you're like, okay, I'm not going to do it. Right? Because once you decide, you don't get to go back to who you were. And that is uncomfortable. If you're going to make a decision to do something, do it, follow through with it. Don't look back. Don't go back to your old self. I want you to hear this real clear. Clarity does not come before decision. It comes after. You don't think your way into clarity. You move your way into it. And I know that goes against everything that you've been taught. Plan more, think more, be sure first. But that's why you've been sitting in the same place, thinking, waiting, replaying, calling it confusion, when really you're standing in the space between knowing and deciding. Did you ever think about that? And that space is what? That's where people stay for years and they don't change. They don't decide. Not because you have to, it's because it feels safer than moving. You want to stay in that comfort zone. Why? Safer than disrupting things, safer than being uncomfortable, safer than becoming someone new? Really? But becoming her doesn't happen there. When are you going to make that decision? Are you going to make it tomorrow? Are you going to make it in a couple of months? You're going to make it in a couple of years? Are you going to make it right now, today? Make that decision today, even if you don't feel ready, even if you don't have the full plan. It is okay. Take the baby steps. Make one shift today because the version of you you're trying to become, she's not waiting for clarity. She's deciding. So I want to ask you something, and I don't want you to overthink it. What is that one decision that you have already been avoiding? You know exactly what I'm talking about. And this is not changing your whole life, not everything at once, ladies, just something small. Just the one thing that you keep thinking about and you're not moving on it. What would it look like to actually decide? Wouldn't that feel powerful? Not perfect, not within full certainty, just to decide and then take one step that matches it because that's how this shift works. Not through more thinking, through more movement, through ownership, through deciding even when it feels uncomfortable. You are not confused. You're avoiding a decision that changes everything. And the moment that you stop avoiding it, you'll realize that you were never stuck. You were just waiting. And that right there is so magical and so powerful. I promise you that just take the one little step. I've changed my life over several years because I've done a lot of self improvement. I educated myself. I surrounded myself to the people that are like minded, that have goals, that were powerful, that had lived a life, better than I did. And what I mean by better is the things that I wanted in life. I just wasn't there just yet, but it motivated me to keep going and to not give up, to not be so confused. You're one decision away from becoming her. So, what is stopping you? I always say that you have full control of the will. And if this episode resonated with you, if this episode that resonated for you, that maybe could resonate to someone else, please share. Share it with a friend because becoming her is the most powerful first step that you can take. And always remember, you have full control of your life. You can have and do anything you want. It is up to you. With much hugs, Nancy.